That's right. I used to say that. I had fun with that. But we are winning. We're winning again. We're winning a lot bigger than anyone ever thought possible for such a short period of time. For too long, our tax code has incentivized companies to leave our country in search of lower tax rates. That happens. Many, many companies, they're going to Ireland. They're going all over. They're going all over Asia. But they're stopping because they now want to take advantage of what's happening and what we're about to pass, hopefully. My administration rejects the offshoring model. In other words, let's build a factory in another country. Isn't that wonderful? That really helps us a lot. Fire everybody, and let's build the product, and let's send it in without tax back into the United States. That model doesn't work for me. It never worked, and it shouldn't have worked for any of our other past presidents, believe me. Our new model is the American model. Call it the Trump model, where we build it here. As much as possible, we build it here. Simply put, our tax plan is anti-offshoring and 100% worker, 100% pro-America. Under the American model, we're reducing burdens on our businesses as long as they do business in our country. Okay? They do business here. Now, we love Mexico. It's a wonderful place. But I don't like when our car companies move to Mexico, fire everybody, build the same car in Mexico, send it through our borders with no taxes, no nothing, and we buy the car. Same price. We buy the car. In the meantime, what do we get out of it? We get no tax, and we get unemployment all over. That's stopping. So now the plants are starting to move back. And now there's a price to pay when they do that little number on us. That's how we all succeed and we grow together as one team, one people, as one American family. This week's vote can be the beginning of the next great chapter for the American worker. To summarize, our plan cuts taxes for the working and middle-income families. It nearly doubles the amount of income taxed at the rate of 0. It lowers tax rate. It expands the child tax credit. It provides relief from the estate tax, also known as the death tax. It cuts small business taxes. It reduces the corporate rate from 35% all the way down to 20%. And it provides a one-time low tax rate to return corporate money parked overseas, trillions and trillions of dollars. This is the right plan. This is the right time. We have a moment in time. The Republicans have the Senate. The Republicans have the House. The Republicans have the White House. It's very unusual. Very unusual. This is our chance to free our economy from our workers, from the terrible tax burdens. We have workers that are so burdened with taxes. We're freeing our workers from those terrible burdens. Republicans in Congress campaigned on cutting taxes. We also campaigned on repeal and replace. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Take your time. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Many Democrats have promised tax cuts that don't mean anything because they really want major tax increases. Senator Claire McCaskill, have you ever heard of her? Is doing you a tremendous disservice. She wants your taxes to go up. She's weak on crime. She's weak on borders. She's weak on illegal immigration. And she's weak on the military. Other than that, I think she's doing a fantastic job. But now comes the moment of truth. In the coming days, the American people will learn which politicians are part of the swamp and which politicians want to drain the swamp. If you make your voices heard and call up your congressmen, and they've been terrific, and call up your senators, and they have been totally terrific. Most of them have been incredible. They really are. They're really friends of mine. They've been incredible. But it doesn't take much. That's why we need more. We need to have a larger number. But most of them have been incredible. But call your senators, call your congressmen, because we have no choice. We have to act. We have to act as a country. This isn't good for the Republican Party. This is good for the country. And that's ultimately what it's all about. So this week, hopefully, the Senate can join the House and take that strong stand for middle-class families and for business and for jobs and for competition and for bringing money back. Together, we will give the American people a big, beautiful Christmas present. And remember, I was the one, when I was here last time, I said, we're going to have Christmas again. I was the one that said, you go to the department stores and you see Happy New Year and you see red and you see snow and you see all these things. You don't see Merry Christmas anymore. With Trump as your president, we are going to be celebrating Merry Christmas again, and it's going to be done with a big, beautiful tax cut. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
That's President Trump wrapping up a speech in St. Charles, Missouri, touting the Republican tax plan, the familiar refrains of the Rolling Stones there. He made a mention of North Korea, calling out Kim Jong-un as, quote, little rocket man, after, of course, the rogue regime test-fired yet another missile. CNN's Abby Phillip is in Missouri for us, covering the president there. Abby, what was the main thrust of the president's selling points for this tax plan today?
Hi, Jake. Well, the president talks a lot about this being a middle-class tax break for middle Americans. He used St. Charles's Main Street as the focal point of these remarks, calling out a couple of local businesses here who he said are examples of the kinds of people he wants to benefit from this. But at the same time, the president also claimed that he wouldn't benefit at all from the tax bill. We know that that's not exactly true. His businesses and wealthy folks like him and his children would benefit, but the president's talking a lot about the middle class here today going forward.
All right, Abby Phillip with the president in Missouri. Now, for anyone catching up on news for the first time today, the president has stepped on his message about taxes and lowering taxes. Let me ease you into what he did this morning with something a little bit more rational.
We will begin to construct a new foundation of cooperation and support with our Muslim allies to combat extremism, terrorism, and violence.
And that was President Trump in May, a rational, sane speech read from a teleprompter, and quite a different message from this morning when President Trump went on Twitter and retweeted anti-Muslim videos from a far-right group in Europe to his 43 million-plus Twitter followers. His three inflammatory retweets show a young man being beaten and thrown from a rooftop, as well as somebody destroying a Virgin Mary statue. The purpose of the videos clearly to depict Muslims as savages, even though it's not entirely clear that all the people in the videos are Muslim. This one, for example, purports to show a migrant beating up a Dutch boy on crutches, but the Embassy of the Netherlands tweeted to President Trump that the perpetrator here was not a migrant. Quote, facts do matter, the embassy said in a tweet. The perpetrator of this violent act in this video was born and raised in the Netherlands, unquote. So where did President Trump find such vile content, irresponsibly shared, devoid of context, false in at least one case, with the sole purpose, seemingly, of inflaming and encouraging fear and hatred? Well, the original tweets come from this woman, the deputy leader of the extreme right political group Britain First in the UK. Just last year, she was convicted of, quote, religiously aggravated harassment for verbally abusing a Muslim woman on the street. Now, when the leader of the free world promotes the views of such a character, national security experts say that the potential consequences cannot be ignored.
It has all kinds of ripple effects, both in terms of perhaps inciting or encouraging anti-Muslim violence, and as well causes, I think, our friends and allies around the world to wonder about the judgment of the President of the United States.
Well, that became clear when the spokesperson for British Prime Minister Theresa May said, quote, "It is wrong for the president to have done this," noting that the political party in question, quote, "Britain First, seeks to divide communities in their use of hateful narratives which peddle lies and stoke tensions." On the other hand, hateful bigot and former Klan leader David Duke tweeted, "Thank God for Trump. This is why we love him," in response to his retweets. Now, this was only one of several ugly moments by the president this morning, and another one responding to NBC News firing anchor Matt Lauer for inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace. President Trump lashed out at an MSNBC anchor, Joe Scarborough, alluding to this deranged conspiracy theory about Scarborough, asking in a tweet about NBC, quote, "Will they terminate low ratings Joe Scarborough based on the unsolved mystery that took place in Florida years ago? Investigate!" exclamation point. To be clear, this is the president of the United States attempting to exploit the tragic death of a young woman that occurred in 2001, one that had nothing to do with Joe Scarborough. 28-year-old intern Lori Klausutis was found dead in Scarborough's Florida office 16 years ago. She apparently suffered heart problems. That's what the medical examiner concluded. She fell and hit her head on a desk and died. There were no findings of foul play, but today the president used the loss of this young woman to score this cheap and ugly political point. The pain that her friends and family might feel, be damned. Now, that attack, demonizing Muslims, finding favor with notorious bigots on both sides of the Atlantic, all before 9:30 in the morning. It's apparent that the people around President Trump are unable to stop him from behaving this way, but that does not mean that you or I need to pretend it isn't happening, because this is fundamentally indecent behavior. And we cannot excuse it, and we cannot ignore it, and we cannot become numb to it. Now, when White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders was asked about those anti-Muslim videos the president pushed to his followers, originally from an extremist group, it was pointed out to her that it wasn't even clear if the videos are real. Here was her response.
Whether it's a real video, the threat is real, and that is what the president is talking about.
Whether or not it's a real video, the threat is real. It's an official statement from the White House suggesting that it doesn't matter if the content the president shares is real, because the point he was trying to make is real, in his view.